The Tomy and Trackmaster Adventures of Thomas the Tank Engine, Episode 19, Duncan and the Birthday Train. It was a busy time on the Navigator's Railway for the Navigator's engines, and all the engines were working hard. The engines popped up and down the line with visitors traveling to the Sodor or to the Navigator's Railway every single time, and especially during the summer, and they chariot the passengers of the travelers no matter what the weather, either rain or shine. One day, their controller, Mr. Percival, had gathered on this engine because he has news for them. Okay, since I got some news for you guys, said Mr. Percival. Pretty soon, it's gonna be my birthday pretty soon. And in order of my special data coming pretty soon, there's gonna be a birthday train with all the presents gathered for me. And not only that, there's all gonna be a picnic somewhere like in the field of the hills. And if one of you finishes your jobs on time and safely, then one of you guys may pull the birthday train for my very special day. And then he left on his bicycle. The Navigator's engines were pretty excited for Mr. Percival and the birthday train. Ugh, said Duncan. Hopefully Mr. Percival will choose me. I'm a speaking engine, you know, and the one who'll be taking the birthday train shall be me. You, said Rusty. Duncan, you're nothing but pretty grumpy. I am not grumpy, said Duncan. I'm a plain speaking engine, you know. A plain speaking engine, you might say, said Scallowy. Duncan, don't you remember some times what you did like from the past? Especially what you did on your first day here when you got stuck in the tunnel? This made Duncan pretty cross. Scallowy, don't you mention that on my first day here. That day was so embarrassing for me. Now you excuse me, I need to do my work. I'm a plain speaking engine, you know. And with that, Duncan left. Rusty chuckled a little bit. Duncan's gonna get himself into trouble, he said to himself. I have a feeling something bad's gonna happen. Meanwhile, at the wharf, James was waiting at the wharf to collect some sleigh for Duncan since he was taking the sleigh from the incline. Just then, he see Duncan racing backwards way too fast. Duncan, stop! Look out! Duncan was racing way too fast, but by then it was too late. Uh-oh, said Duncan. Are you okay, James? Yes, I'm okay, said James. Well, I don't think it was alright, said the young manager. The young manager was very cross at Duncan. I'm very sorry, sir, said Duncan. I didn't mean to cause this accident. Well, guess what? You kinda did cause this accident on purpose, but I didn't mean to, said Duncan. At least it was not badly damaged that I did. At least I kinda only destroyed the slate trucks behind me. No, it was worse than that, said the young manager. Not only that you damaged also your trucks, you also damaged the expensive equipment I was saving up. Duncan was horrified by what he heard. The really expensive equipment. I had to tell Mr. Percival about this. Now Duncan felt guilty of what he had done. He didn't mean to cause this accident. He was in just a rush. Uh-oh, said James. Looks like you're gonna be in big trouble, Duncan. And that's exactly what happened. Later on that evening, he had a talk with Duncan. Duncan, said Mr. Percival, I'm very disappointed in you. Not only did you damage the trucks, you also damaged the new equipment. But sir, said Duncan, I didn't mean to cause this accident. I set the rust. And since what you done on that day, to pay for your price for your consequence, to pay for you for the new equipment, you're gonna work at the wharf all day long tomorrow. Duncan was shocked. But sir, I want to pull the birthday train. I really wanted to. But who's gonna pull it? I'm sorry, Duncan, but what you done earlier after today was nothing but wrong. Tomorrow, Rossi's gonna pull the birthday train tomorrow. Rossi was very happy. What? Not that little diesel, said Duncan. Can't you just pick me to pull the birthday train? Besides, I'm a lot better than that horrified diesel right here. Duncan, come on. It's been like this, almost in forever that you insulted me all these times. Well, I'm sorry, Duncan. Rossi is going to pull the birthday train tomorrow and there's nothing you're going to do about it. Like I said, you're going to work tomorrow at the work for the price of what you've done for your consequence. And Mr. Percival left. Sorry, Duncan, said Rossi. I agree with what he said. What you done earlier that day was just wrong by accident. If you slowed down in the first place, none of this would happen. Duncan was red in the face. He had nothing to say, but all he wanted to pull the birthday train. So Duncan rushed out to go to the sheds, very angry. Rossi chuckled. Oh well, tomorrow I'm gonna pull the birthday train. What can possibly go wrong? He said. And with that, Rossi left to go to the sheds as well. The next morning, the birthday train that Rossi was pulling he is at one of the stations, and they was packing all the presents into the birthday train van. Rossi felt a little bit bad that Duncan was gonna get chosen to pull the birthday train. He felt a little bit bad, but he knew it was Duncan's consequence of what he'd done earlier that yesterday. Soon after everything was loaded onto the birthday train, especially the presents. Alright, said the guard, all ready to go. Thank you, said Rossi. Let's go. And with that, Rossi left with the birthday train. Meanwhile, at the wharf, Duncan was shunting some trucks at the wharf. It's not fair, he said, as he bit a truck. It's so not fair. I'm a plain speaking engine. An engine like me should pull the birthday train, not that diesel Rossi, he said crossly. Tomy overheard Duncan. Duncan, what's wrong? He asked curiously. Nothing, Tomy, said Duncan. It's just that yesterday, Mr. Popper said it was his birthday tomorrow, and whoever finishes our jobs on time and safely will pull the train. But I accidentally knocked some of my trucks and the slate truck, and I had very expensive equipment. And now Roger's gonna pull the birthday train. That little diesel, it's not fair. Rusty should never come out this railway at all. Send Rusty packing. Send Rusty packing, he said crossly. Come on, Duncan. Mr. Purple chose Rusty to pull the birthday train for a reason. And besides, it was not entirely your fault. It was just, an accident. Though it was partly your fault. But think of what else could have happened if things couldn't get a lot worse. You should be thankful that it was not severely damaged at all. And plus, you should be happy Mr. Purple and Rusty. Duncan began to calm down a little bit. I guess you're right, said Duncan. I guess so. Duncan had a little chance to calm himself down. Meanwhile, back with Rusty, trouble had just happened. As Rusty was going to the hills for Mr. Percival's birthday, something unexpected happened. There were rocks in the way, and Rusty couldn't get himself through. "Oh no," said Rusty. "There are rocks in our way. We can't get through." "I'm very sorry," said Striper, "but there's nothing we can do about it. We need to call for help." Meanwhile, back to the transfer yards, Duncan was about to shun another truck when the yard manager came to see Duncan. "Duncan," said the yard manager, "there's an emergency." "An emergency?" said Duncan. What is it?" "Well, there's an emergency not too far from here. Rusty and the builder train are stuck in between rocks. Can you collect the workmen to clear the rock out of the way?" "Sure thing," said Duncan. "This is an emergency." "Well, good luck, Duncan," said Thomas. "Oh, thank you," said Duncan. And with that, Duncan collected a coach for the workmen. Duncan collected some workmen and a coach. And with that, they were on their way to help their friend, Rusty. They arrived at the scene. Rusty, here are the workmen. They're gonna help clear out the rocks." "Thank you, Duncan. You're kind of like a pretty good friend." Don't sweat it," said Duncan. "We need to get the rock out to clear out the way first." Soon the workmen got their tools and cleared all the rocks. In no time at all the rocks were clear. "Thank you, Duncan," said Rusty. "And is it okay I can ask you this?" "Sure," said Duncan. What is it?" "Well, from yesterday, I kind of feel a little feel bad for you. What happened? I mean, asking you to pull the birthday train. I know how you wanted to feel to pull the birthday train, and I felt kind of a little bit bad for you. Even though 100% from that thing, it was not entirely your fault. Is it okay I can ask you this? Is it okay that you and me can pull the birthday train together?" Duncan smiled. "Of course we can," said Duncan. "What our friends are for." The two friends bubbled up to each other to the birthday train and the workman's coach. And with that, the two friends set out to the hills where Mr. Percival will be waiting for them. Soon, the two friends arrived at the field place where Mr. Percival had his picnic, the barbecue, as well as his party. He was pretty surprised to see Duncan was also pointing the birthday train with Rusty. Rusty, you arrived with the birthday train safe and sound." "Thank you, sir," said Rusty. "But you could also thank Duncan too, mostly because if it wasn't him, the workman, we wouldn't deliver your present and the birthday train on time." "Thank you, Duncan," said Mr. Percival. "You're proving yourself to be a really useful engine. Now let's get my birthday party started." And with that, everyone had a lovely time at the birthday party. And the two good friends are part of each other, and they become pretty good friends once again. Duncan and Rusty did have a pretty good relationship, I should say, and nothing but a good friendship can last forever of these two, of the pretty two good friends.